My sister had been afflicted by chronic pain on her leg's bones for years now. It was mild at first, but getting worse and worse every year, and always unrelenting. Oh, I feel so sorry for her.
You know security was compromised.
He asked me. I stared at him in surprise. How do you know this? The janitor of all people, I thought. If he knows, everybody knows. With a rather heavy heart, I decided it was time to hack Mike. His full name, Mike Millen. Born 16th of July 1991. He's been using his YouTube account for years now to comment on videos. He likes to get into arguments on the internet. It seems one may call him a keyboard warrior, even. The noodles were boiling in the kettle, the water bubbling and popping, steam was rising to the grimy ceiling. The entirety of my tiny apartment smelled of the ready flavoring I'd thrown into there straight from the packets. After I grabbed my full bowl, I sat down to eat on the small table in the kitchen. It was almost 1 a.m. according to the digital clock on my old time-worn microwave. I was half asleep by then, couldn't wait to hop into bed, but the fresh smell of spices and vegetables they put in those packets seemed to restore me to my senses. The password tool ran on my open computer behind me, and with it my mind's gears worked even as I spooned my noodle soup. I had to procure more keywords, engineer them out of Mike if necessary. A new email. Oh, a new email? Who can it be so late in the night? It's probably one of those automated email sites usually sent to you. I took the last bite of my noodles and sat up to go to my computer. But when I checked, I saw an almost blank email with no subject. Oh, I like that transition. Get closer to this. Get closer to the background. I did not move for a few moments. A chill took over me as if to hold me in place, and the room grew very still around me. I know what you've been doing. Someone knows I tried to hack Mike? Who? Is it him? Before I could come to any deduction from the message, or think about replying, another one arrived. I rushed to open it. I could feel my heart beat as I read those lines. Tahama Street. Meet me there, or there will be consequences. Tahama Street is close to Daikon. It's gotta be someone from work. My eyes fell upon the email address. QWERTY506@skymail.com. Looks like a throwaway address. The name was SD, but those letters could just be random. It looked like whoever it was, they had created the address with the purpose of sending these messages. This could be Mike himself. He learned somehow that I was trying to hack him, and now he wanted something. Perhaps to deal with it. I couldn't be sure. If it was somebody from work, I had to go meet him. There was no point in delaying it, or trying to avoid it, as it could go down 1,000,000 times worse if something happened at the office. I thought of sending a reply would help me pin some information. Any information that could prove valuable if the one on the other side replied back. The next few moments found me staring blankly at the screen, waiting for any new messages to come up. I ended up waiting for what felt like a very long time. I wiped off a drop of sweat that ran down my nose. The moments passed. My heart rate slowed down to normal in the quietness of my room. But I was tense for the rest of the night. No new emails ever arrived from that address. I woke up hot, my body soaking in cold sweat. Last night was rough. I barely slept, anticipating a third message from this mystery person which never came. Also, music was blaring from the neighborhood, which didn't help. Someone was having a party until very, very late into the night. Yeah, I know this feeling. Happens all the time in where I live. Owing to those things, I almost went right back to sleep after the alarm rang. My eyes were dry and heavy, closing almost on their own for want of sleep. Today was Sunday, though, and I'd promised to spend the day with my sister when she phoned yesterday. The room was still and quiet around me. I jumped out of bed and put on clothes lazily, still almost half asleep. At least today I got to wear those loose shorts and my sneakers, and a t-shirt instead of the usual tight suit I wore to work. After brushing my teeth and making my coffee, I ran out the door with an unflinching sense of familial duty driving my feet. When I entered the hospital room, I found her on the bed with her laptop, watching that show she loved, Angels Don't Die. I don't know how I managed to do it, but all my worries and anticipation for tonight's meeting with the mysterious somebody were left out the door. That's another thing they advertised when they were promoting this game. It looks like there's gonna be an email system that could highly influence the story of somehow. Like, could give you different endings maybe? Could influence the way the story plays out? I was really drawn by that. I'm curious on how that's gonna be implemented. Hi, Vivi, I said, a smile finding its way on my lips. Ian! She jumped off her bed, ran to me and hugged me. She had to stand on her toes to reach my height. Her head rested on my chest for a bit. Your hair's growing long, she said teasingly. My hand on its own went on the strands of my hair behind my ear, as if to measure. I guess. I haven't had any time for grooming at all lately. You look tired. Are you overworking yourself again? I glanced around in a loss, unsure of what to say. As always, I didn't wish to worry her. I wouldn't lie to her either, though. I could be working less, I admitted with brevity. You could take a break once in a while, you know. I am, I protested. I'm taking a break right now. How's the pain in your leg now, by the way? Gone. Leg feels fine. I can walk almost like before. For now, I figured, it was bound to come back. The doctors were not certain whether the pain would ever truly go away or not. In fact, there were some experimental therapies that we were aiming towards, but the most promising of those were extremely expensive. Maintaining a hopeful but reasonable perspective was the way to go, as instructed by the doctors. So good to hear, I said, smiling gladly. You want to go for a walk? Of course! Yay! I chuckled to hear her so excited. We hadn't gone on a walk for quite some time. Let's go see the sunset later on, I suggested. Okay, let's. We ended up watching an entire season's worth of episodes of Angels Don't Die, and spent some time in the cafeteria before evening came around. We walked all the way to the bridge that crossed the train tracks in North Sharpton, near the hospital. By the time we'd gotten there, the city bathed in the golden light of the last hours of the day. A breeze brought fresh and cool air welcome after the scorching summer heat during daytime. I thought this was a great occasion to give Vivi something that she could look back on and be happy about. Oh, that's a nice CG of her! Vivi leaned over the bridge's rail and smiled at me, her hair shining with a blinding light at the sunset behind her. Whew! I miss this place, she smiled happily. I bet. How's the leg now? Great! Feels good to be able to get out of bed again. I grinned. Looks like the doctors did a good job so far. Pretty good. You hungry? We could get a burger or something. No, I'm full. But I could go for some ice cream. More ice cream? I laughed. Didn't you have enough ice cream in the cafeteria already? It wasn't enough. I want more. Alright, I said. It's not like I was going to say yes from the start. We'll get some more ice cream. Then. We'll get some more ice cream then. But do you eat your vegetables every day? Sometimes. Sometimes they serve broccoli and it's just... Fine. But have you ever tried it out at least? I've tried it, but it's the worst. A train passed by below the bridge at the moment. Hey, look. I stepped near the handrail and we both had a look below as the train came by. It's been so long since the last time I saw a train. That stuck with me, as it highlighted truly how long my sister had stayed in the hospital, which is to say most of her life. I couldn't imagine what it was like to start to forget things about the outside world while you were confined in a hospital room. Yet she didn't seem to realize how gut-wrenching the situation was. There was no change in her mood, her smile or her tone. She just seemed so content to see a train. That was when I decided I couldn't waste this opportunity to make our little stroll last even longer. Aw, they really did a good job of designing her. I like her design. Let me save first. Save at number 4. Tell you what, I said. Let's go to Melview. I know a place up there where we can look at the sunset and the city from above. Like where? Up in the mountains? Yeah, come on, let's get that ice cream and I'll show you. Well, we got the ice cream and headed for my car, and drove up in the mountains of the northern suburb of the city. The sun had set for quite a while. We were late. Instead, we got to see an altogether different sight. It took a while getting up to this spot in the mountains, but it was so worth it. We could see almost the entirety of the tri-state city from up here, from the port to the east to the outskirts to the west. That is a really beautiful... Oh my god, that's a really nice backdrop for this. I wouldn't mind having that as a background, you know, or like a wallpaper for my computer. I wouldn't mind that. That's so nice. Kudos to the art team. You guys did a really good job. A full moon adorned the night skyline that was laced with distant stars and planets. The cosmos graced us with a starry, shining smile, it seemed. I love space, my god. I had no idea we'd ever see something like this. My sister seemed to be awestruck as well. Her eyes seemed to reflect the stars above as she stared at the night sky. Look, that's the Milky Way. I knew about it, but I've never actually seen it, she said in wonderment. Wanna go sit on the bench? You go. I gotta have a smoke. You still smoke? To my shame, I said, smiling lazily. I don't smoke in front of Vivi usually, but especially not in the hospital. I'd gone all day without one for her sake, but now I just had to go for it. Oh, it moves! Aww! Vivi hopped onto the bench on her own and gazed over the city and cosmos above. She started to oscillate her head slightly as if she was listening to some music I couldn't hear. I felt she was content, and that in turn made me content. And that I had the idea of coming up here. I drew in the smoke, then breathed it out while looking at the stars. You ever think about how everything in the universe, the fabric of our reality, can be broken down into numbers? Not really, but it's so interesting to think about, now that you mention it. You might not notice, but the underlying formula of the world is all mathematics. Take planets, the moon, and the stars for an example. We use math to measure the mass and trajectory of celestial objects. This is how we, mankind, send robots to Mars and other planets. And math applies to both gigantic objects like the Earth, or better yet, the star that is millions of times larger than our planet, than the smallest particle. Did you know Einstein's equations were hiding a discovery from him in plain sight? The discovery that the universe is expanding. Einstein himself didn't believe that, apparently, and yet, so it was observed. Years after his theory of relativity, his very own equations knew the universe expanding before he did. Same with the Higgs boson, an elementary particle that showed us a shadow in physics equations, and was only actually observed in the physical world, so to speak, almost half a century after it appeared in mathematics. This is a lot of jargon, man. You're talking to a little girl about this, I don't think she'd understand. Vivi let out a quick laugh. But what are you going with this? Where are you going with this? I took in another puff of smoke, breathed out, and shrugged. I don't know. But I did come up with something further right then. I'm just thinking that if everything, from celestial objects to us humans to particles, is mathematics, then the answer to life, the ultimate truth of our reality, is probably all just one big equation. Or small. Who knows? And the answer is there in the math for us, but we're just not seeing it. Silence settled in as I thought about it. Vivi seemed to ponder it as well. Blowing smoke up in the air, I glanced at the time on my phone. It's getting rather late, and worry crept up to me as the memory of the anonymous emails I got last night appeared from the back of my mind. I had somewhere to be at midnight, and I'd completely forgotten. Hold on, let me save one more time. Let me save one more time. I'm gonna go check something out. I think I hear something outside my window. One moment. Alright. I settled that thing that we had to settle. Everything's good now. At least it should be. Let's keep going. Vivi, let's get going, I said, slightly anxious. Can't we stay a little longer? I'm getting tired, I said. And I got work tomorrow. Aw, okay. But promise we'll come here again? Yeah, I promise. I dropped Vivi off at the hospital and was now headed for the designated meeting spot, which was very near Daikon Industry headquarters. Tahama Street, huh? I began walking towards the alley mentioned in the email. I knew exactly where it was, it being so close to the headquarters. It was an absolutely filthy place, full of dirt, trash, and excrement. One could expect to see some poor sod sleeping on tents or makeshift beds here from time to time. I didn't know what to expect as I stepped into the alley. I felt my heart rate rise all the same, as I saw a shadow farther in. Oh shit, it's Ken! It's Ken! It wasn't any homeless person I saw, and neither was it Mike, the person I thought I was going to see as I got closer. I started to see the person more clearly as he stood under the light of a nearby lamp.
You're late,
Ken said, arms crossed. I tried to keep my cool, but my mind raced. Ken? What the hell is this?
I don't like waiting,
he said with the impatience of a spoiled brat. Sorry, I said innocently. I was visiting my sister in the hospital.
Save it. I don't give a damn.
My expression hardened, but as my face was shrouded in the dark, Ken likely didn't notice. So what is this? I asked directly, trying to hide my fear.
I saw you running that lockpick program on your PC at work.
My heart jumped in my chest. When could he possibly have? Then it struck me. I left my PC unattended to go to the server room while the program was running in the background. He must have looked at that time. Ken continued.
I know you're trying to hack me.
I wasn't trying to hack you, I said honestly. I figured he hadn't seen all the keywords I dumped into the program. Otherwise, he'd know it was Mike I was trying to hack.
You're not fooling anyone. Taken an interest in my business, have you?
I now thoroughly regretted ever bringing that up in the first place, especially since I wanted nothing to do with any of this. Before I could think of an answer, he continued.
I want 50 grand by the end of next month, or I tell everybody you leaked the Daikon product.
50,000, I scoffed. You're insane. I live paycheck to paycheck here. Where will I find $50,000?
Your problem. Figure it out, Mr. Hacker. 1 month is plenty of time.
I was stunned. I didn't have the chance to say anything more as he turned to leave, but he stopped just as he was about to, and turned back to me. You want to know the truth about the world, Ian? He patted me on the shoulder with a cool, haunting grin plastered on his face.
The truth about the world is that crime does pay. Give me my money, he shouted as he left. I'll be watching.
I was left standing in the middle of the alley, as if rooted in place. I could hear my heart thumping in my chest. I watched as he got into a dark muscle car parked at the other end of the alley and drove off with a loud rev of the engine. I half shut my eyes, taking a good long look at the car. I'd seen that car before. It came to me then that Ken had been following me. It was his car that I'd seen after exiting the Daikon headquarters late at night. That bastard was waiting for me till my overtime was over. I ran my hand through my hair, glancing around as if I was going to suddenly find the key to solving all my problems somewhere between the trash cans and the empty, decrepit alley. Moments later, after I calmed down a bit, I reflected that I should have said more. I should have told him my sister was in the hospital with a chronic bone-wasting disease, and I couldn't possibly find this much money even for her. But then again, Ken wouldn't care. He said he's going to frame me as the Daikon leaker if I reflected. I reflected. He really wouldn't care. Trying to talk my way out of this was a lost cause. I barely slept at all. That was the second night in a row that I hadn't. Last night I spent 3 hours preparing the worst outcome. Ken framing me as the Daikon leaker.
You're in shit now, man.
I recorded a video in my room, professing my innocence and explaining the situation, and enclosed it with a message from my sister. I dearly hoped that the video never ever saw the light of day. I could hardly keep my eyes open even after the third coffee of the day. I thought I must have seen dark muscle cars with tinted windows exactly like Ken's at least a couple of times since I walked out of that alley. On my way home last night, on my way to work this morning, the stress ate away at me from the inside. My job had suddenly become much harder, as I couldn't risk using my tools while at work. Again, I had thought of quitting, but then it would be highly unlikely I'd find a new job, and the monthly hospital bill had just arrived. My sister and I would starve, and we'd no longer be able to afford her medication. Not to mention, if I quit, we'd have to move states, disappear. That was not gonna happen. I thought of going to the police, but that was no option either. I was already knee-deep in crime, what with hacking all these people around me. If the cops looked into this, they would take me in, and then my sister would be left all alone. In the depths of my despair, I almost didn't hear someone calling for me. It was Mike.
Ian, bruh! Hey,
He said.
Earth to Ian!
Huh? Sorry, must have dozed off. What's up, Mike? I don't think he noticed my discomfort at all.
I need to talk to you. Can you meet me in the cafeteria?
I composed myself. Sure. That's a really nice looking cafeteria. This is not an office cafeteria, this is like a legit store. What the hell? Half an hour later, I met with Mike at the cafe across the street from the headquarters. Oh, it's not the cafeteria, it's a cafe. Mike leaned back on the soft cushion of the sofa. I had noticed he had brought his laptop with him. The waiter had just brought our drinks, putting them on the table. He snatched his drink, but I didn't move, not taking my eyes off Mike. My cappuccino was hot, so I wouldn't touch it for now. Mike took a sip of his milkshake and immediately let out a sound of disgust.
Blah! I hate these paper straws! Nothing like having the papery taste of saving the planet from non-disposable straws in your mouth.
What?
The drinks! They serve here come with those super thick paper straws. There's zero reason to make the straws that thick. Feels like you're literally eating paper. You know what I mean?
I chuckled, even though I wasn't in a cheery mood. Yeah, I do. Mike waved his hand.
Anyway,
I leaned over the table and got a bit closer to Mike. We had met like this in the past to discuss work. This time, though, felt like he was about to something more important than encryption. So let's talk, Mike. Mike put his hand forward in a closed fist. His hand open, leaving a USB stick on the table. Then the fat man glanced around to make sure people weren't looking.
it's my work logs. Contains a whole history of edits of the Daikon encryption.
I glanced at the stick, then back at Mike. I slowly took the stick and pocketed it, all while looking slightly quizzically at Mike.
Look, I know Bauer told you to find the leaker. It's only logical. But that's what I do in this place too.
He was speaking in a hushed voice, lest the people around us in the cafe overhear anything. No one was sitting in the nearby table, so it looked like we were safe from prying ears. There was no use denying it if he had it figured out. He showed me his laptop and I took a good look. I noticed he had covered the webcam with a sticky note, just like I had done to the webcam of my work PC. Of course he would, I mused. Mike's work logs were open and in full view.
It's all there,
Mike said, gesturing with his head towards the laptop.
I'll be fully transparent here. If you think anything is tampered, we'll feel free cross-check.
He leaned back on the sofa again and took a deep breath of his milkshake. His stance showed he was confident, almost like this was an everyday work meeting, and it was very hard to believe something was hiding under his expression of mild indifference. I will, I assured him, giving him what was in front of me a quick but careful first look. Everything seemed to be in order at the first look. No access granted at strange times, edits fully documented with dates and time down to the second. Technically, I had to do cross-check with Mike mentioned to be doubly sure, but I felt I didn't need to. I didn't believe he would leak our product in the first place. He wasn't that type of person. He was a hard and clever worker and had no clear motive to do so. It was in that moment that I chose to trust him. That was easy, I reflected, and to think I was going to hack him to find out. I nodded without saying much. Instead, I calmly took a sip of my coffee, which had cooled slightly. Did you check out the leaks on the net from your rig at work?
Of course not,
He responded indignantly.
I don't shit where I eat.
Alright, I said decisively. Since it seems you're clean, then will you help me find the leaker?
Absolutely,
He said without missing a beat.
it's in my job description. The fact that somebody trampled all over my code offends me to a fundamental level.
I almost chuckled. That makes two of us.
We'll find the rat and we'll make it squeal. Gotta bring on some retribution for this, you know? You have any leads?
I took another sip of my coffee and looked back at him. I do. I got some idea of who it could be.
It's Ken you're thinking of, isn't it?
He asked. How do you know?
Stating the obvious, but Ken's a scumbag. He's been working for Daikon for what, 6 months now? And he's managed to piss off most everybody in the office. It's kind of a feat, in some backward sense, really. I heard his father is some rich lawyer working for a firm that's part of the conglomerate of corporations Daikon Industries is a member of. Ken acts like he owns the place himself, like we're his underlings and he's untouchable. Probably because he's got some really solid connections. Not to mention I have a hunch he's up to some illicit stuff. Either way, I can't tell you how many times he's written shoddy code that had to be patched by others or me. I have no idea what he's doing in Daikon. I think he'd sell us out in a heartbeat.
I nodded. I reckon it was time to tell Mike about my situation with Ken. That's what I think too. In fact, there's something you should know. Ken's blackmailing me for $50,000.
He what?
I glanced around worriedly after Mike exclaimed louder than he should have. Thankfully, nobody paid attention to us. Yeah, he says he'll tell everyone I'm the leaker if I don't give him $50,000 by the end of June.
That's nuts! What will he use as proof?
He saw a lockpick running on my PC. Figured I was trying to hack him.
Were you?
At this point, things had to get a bit iffy. I could tell Mike the full truth, so... Yeah, I'd hacked into his work emails before and found some evidence that pertains to some shady dealings. You mentioned a hunch you had. I assume you... Again, I quickly looked around to make doubly sure no one around us was eavesdropping. You hacked his emails as well? I whispered.
I did.
Curiosity gets the best of us sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah. So what now?
I clasped my fingers in front of me on the table, thinking. I won't have anyone blackmailing me. I said to him straight up, my sister is sick, stuck in a hospital room, and there's no one other than me to provide her with what she needs. If ever she ends up at the hands of Child Protective Services, she may never get the treatment that would save her.
Man, I know, yeah.
Mike said apologetically. We'd been working for 2 years now together, and yet the topic of my sister never came up between us. Mike probably had learned from older co-workers gossiping. I continued. And I have no guarantee that he'll stop. If I give him $50,000, blackmailers tend to come back for more. Evidently, the cops can't get involved. It's just going to get us all into trouble. You included, it seems, and Bauer's forbidden it. So let me put it like this. To me right now, it doesn't matter what Ken is or isn't up to. Since he's threatening me and my livelihood, and my sister's livelihood, well, I'm going to make him stop. I surprised myself with what I was saying. It wasn't like me. I guess being pushed into a corner changes a man. Mike looked at me tentatively.
Stop him how?
I don't know. I was hoping you'd help. Mike was silent for a few moments, his reluctance obvious.
Ian, we're talking more than just peeking at some emails here. Isn't that right?
I shrugged. I don't want to hurt him or anything like that. Let's just call it facilitating things so Ken gets what's coming to him. Mike took one last sip of his milkshake and leaned forward on the table to get closer to me, so I could hear him more clearly. He played a bit with the top of a paper straw and half shut his eyes.
What if you got him arrested?
I shook my head. No. No police, remember?
No, like on something unrelated to Daikon, like something that has to do with what he's up to.
My face lit up as I considered it. Most of all, I was glad Mike seemed to be on board. I pondered over it as I drank my last bit of coffee. It was definitely possible.
Just look at his profile on Life Review. Every third post he makes brags about the thousands he's making and posts photos of stacks of bills upon bills. Hey, us at Daikon, we're not the worst paid people in the world, but that much money? That much money?
Mike exhaled and raised his eyebrows, widening his eyes.
I wouldn't make that much with a second or even a third job, but I'll tell you where he's getting it. Last time I checked his emails, he'd bragged to his girlfriend about stealing credit cards. Mike's pretense of not knowing the content of...
Mike's pretense... I was using the Mike voice, sorry. I was using the Mike voice. I just saw Mike's name in here, and then... Mike's pretense of not knowing the content of Ken's emails dropped entirely.
He even said to her they could get her all the clothes she wanted now.
For real? I blurted out, dumbfounded. That must have been one of the most recent emails, as I hadn't seen anything like that when I looked. Who does that in email?
I don't know, Mike exclaimed. Forgetting to keep quiet?
Forgetting to keep quiet.
He seemed unable to believe it himself. The guy has room temperature IQ.
Whoa, I managed looking out the window. I think I know what to do, I said, finally. But I need your help. Give me your credit card. Mike gave me another tentative look, which turned to an inquisitive one when he saw me slipping my own credit card out of my wallet.
What will you do?
It's simple. Oh, the plot thickens! The plot thickens! Ooh! We're gonna frame Ken. Come on, we gotta show Ken up. Not gonna let him get in between. Get between me. We're providing for my sister. We went separate ways with Mike when we got back to the office. Earlier, I had passed by Ken's desk on my way to my cubicle. He wasn't there, and his phone wasn't there either. Getting control of Ken's phone was instrumental. We could just hijack it from the server room, as it was connected to Daikon's Wi-Fi, but we needed to get our physical hands on it. Ken usually charged his phone by plugging it to one of his desk power sockets, like most of everyone else in the office. He was on the phone a lot, so much in fact, its battery drained faster than a water bottle with its bottom removed. I could count on seeing his phone charging sometime during his hours here. That's what I was waiting for. Speak of the devil. Ken came around to my desk.
Yo, Ian,
He said cheerfully.
you got my money?
Our co-workers were all around us in their cubicles working hard. I hope, or else they'd hear Ken, who didn't bother keeping his voice down. Listen, I whispered, trying to keep my cool. As I told you before, my sister is sick at the hospital. There's no way in hell I can find this money for you. And I can't even find it for my own family. Last chance, Ken, I thought, eyeing him.
Tch. You're not taking this seriously, are you? You know what's up, and you're making me repeat myself. I don't care about your sob story. You don't pay up, everyone here learns you're the leaker. I can start right now, you know.
I raised my hand and gestured for him to be quiet. Keep it down, I sighed. All right, you'll get your due.
That's better, Ian,
he said and leaned forward, this time lowering his voice.
It kinda looks like you thought of crossing me there for a sec. If you do, just know it really won't end well for you.
He began to leave, his smug smile smugger than ever.
We're watching.
We? He said we? A couple of hours passed, almost as if the snap of my finger. Dark clouds gathered outside, turning the afternoon into night. Thunder and lightning cracked outside, and the faint sound of the rain falling on the window panes could be heard when you were near the windows. I must have dozed off, but the noise from the desk in front of me shook me wide awake. I jumped to get my phone the moment it started vibrating. Mike was texting. Go, he wrote. I immediately stood up from my desk, my hand diving into my suit's pocket to feel for the 2 credit cards, mine and Mike's. Mike's cubicle was next to Ken's, so Mike had a comfortable view of when Ken was charging his phone. The text was Mike's signal. I crept near their cubicles, walking slowly with my hands in my pockets and a look of indifference. I was still quite a distance away, but when I was approaching, my eyes crossed with Mike's for a brief moment. Mike stood up and talked to Ken, who lay back on his chair comfortably in his cubicle. I couldn't make out what they were saying, but I slowed my gait to a stop, a good distance away so Ken wouldn't see me. I must have looked out of place, just standing there between cubicles, and a couple of heads turned, but I paid no mind, so they paid no mind. My eyes were fixated on Mike and Ken. They both got up and left their cubicles, headed for the elevator. This is it, I thought, as I strengthened my resolve and began walking again, relieved that Mike's distraction had worked. But I stopped abruptly when I saw Ken head back to his cubicle. My glance crossed with Mike's again as he shrugged with a troubled look on his face. Then I slipped to a side corridor between cubicles so Ken wouldn't see me. Shit! He knows! When I peeped around the corner next, I saw Mike and Ken headed for the elevator. Must have gone back to pick up something, I thought. I dearly hoped it wasn't his phone. I glimpsed the elevator doors that started to shut. The last thing I saw before they closed was Mike squinting at me with a sly grin. I glanced around as inconspicuously as I could. The people around me were focused on their work, talking on the phone, staring at the screen while typing continuously or snoring. I walked over to Ken's empty cubicle. The phone was still plugged in the socket. I saved cheering for later and put a sticky note over the computer's webcam and snatched the phone at the same time. At the same time, I pulled out the credit cards and put them on the desk. I stacked the cards, but not perfectly, so that both of them would show. I quickly swiped the smartphone's screen, and thankfully it didn't ask me for a password or anything like that to be unlocked. I let out the breath that had caught up in my throat. I wasted no time. I opened the camera application and took a picture of the credit cards. The picture was taken in a way that cropped out all large numbers and letters and was blurry enough so that no information at all was visible. I glanced around again, a drop of sweat running down my temple. It was all clear. After the camera, I brought up the life review application and I cursed under my breath. It was asking me for a login password. God damn it, his password! I closed my eyes and took a few seconds to compose myself. I hadn't foreseen this. I just assumed he would be logged into his account already. Damn! I had to take my chances now. I'll use the same password Ken has for his work email. The password he used last I checked was Fast Money and Fly Cars. I typed it in and prayed he wasn't using a different password for the email and his account on live review. It worked. Yes! Never use the same email password for all your shit, man. Ken Lineham. As I'd seen earlier when I scoped him out, his wall on live review was full of hashtags of thug money, posts about golden chains, and pictures of loads of $50 bills. The site spoke for itself. It looked like he wasn't using the site very often. His last post was 6 days ago. I took a calmer breath as I watched the picture of our credit cards get uploaded for the post I was making on Ken's wall. It's time. It's time. It's time. I thought as I removed the sticky note from the camera lens and slipped out the cubicle. Time to go and make the call. When I got on the street outside, it was raining heavily. I had my umbrella, but my suit's pants were soaked around the ankles all the time, and soon my legs would be as well. After I left work, I went straight to the payphone that was nearest Daikon headquarters. I touched the cold metal receiver of the payphone and steeled myself. I slipped some sense into the slot and called 911. Hello? I said when I heard the voice from the other end of the line. I'd like to report a crime. Yes, credit card fraud. Suck it, Ken! The next day had dawned misty. The sun got a few chances to shine, slipping between gaps in the clouds, but it was mostly a dull gray day, as if autumn had come before its time. I had cross-checked Mike's logs with mine when I got home, and when I did, I could sleep more peacefully. In fact, after 2 nights almost without rest, I managed to sleep for a full 10 hours straight. Finally refreshed, I felt ready to tackle the day as it came. When the elevator doors opened and I entered my floor, I noticed the ruckus right away. People were talking. I started for my cubicle, but was stopped by Andre.
Ian,
Hey, what's going on?
you heard? Ken was arrested.
Arrested? I asked, surprised. It was easy to feign surprise as I was amazed the plan has actually worked in the first place. I wasn't counting on the police to be diligent enough to investigate with such speed.
Yes, they say Ken committed fraud.
Fraud, I repeated. Did they say what kind?
Credit cards.
Wait, I need to get the rest of
Давай, alright, okay. Credit cards. I heard he told about his skills of card fraud on Life Review, I think. The site, you know. Big mistake.
I didn't say a word, I just smiled in such a way that it was obvious I was trying not to laugh. It seemed like he could do that, since Andre was smiling too. He probably knew what a piece of work Ken was. Nobody in the office would miss him.
But between you and me, Ian,
Andre said, lowering his voice in a secretive manner.
I do not want to point fingers, but they also say he was the leaker.
I scoffed. Ken? The leaker? I don't think he would.
Why not? He leak his own info. Why not Daikon info?
It was clear Andre was being facetious. So I just laughed and we parted, each going to work. I love Andre. Before I got to my cubicle though, I saw Mike near it. He seemed to have been waiting for me.
Yeah, you know what's going on, right?
Yeah, Andre just briefed me.
Did you call the cops on him?
Yeah, I didn't tell them my name though. Just made a report through a payphone and hung up when they asked for my details.
Nobody saw you with Ken's phone?
Nope, I don't think so at least.
Well, looks like it worked without a hitch. They raided his house and got into his emails. They didn't find just the credit cards and evidence of other frauds and scams. They found stolen money too. The guy's totally done. Hey, it doesn't make sense to bring this up now, but don't you think we went a little overboard?
I shrugged. I didn't feel a shred of remorse. Nah. I'd say we didn't do enough. Ken may go to prison for a crime he's definitely guilty of, but he'll get no time for trying to shake me down. And he could have well been the leaker too. We just never verified if he was or not. Which, by the way, we should get to now.
When you put it that way,
He mumbled.
alright, let's get to it.
I said goodnight to Andre and walked out into the fresh, cold air of the street. I should head home, I thought. Though I just stood there, lost in my thoughts about work, even as I was about to leave it all behind for the day. Mike and I had been granted special access to the server room by Mr. Bauer, with the express purpose of thoroughly examining every tiny fragment of stored data on Ken's PC at work. Mr. Bauer hinted that officers from the Tri-State Police Department were asking for this data, so we sent it all to him in a couple of sticks, with pretty little bows on them. Literally. The sticks we used had shiny red bows. That's cute. Mike used those for making gifts to his family, and we thought it'd be hilarious if the police got Ken's data looking like a Christmas present. They wouldn't find shit, of course. We went through every click, every keystroke, every single action he's ever taken on that PC by using the all-seeing, all-recording, masterful snitching software that was installed in anything that even resembled a computer in the building. The process took many, many hours, but now that we were two pairs of eyes, we managed to finish faster than I anticipated. Turned out Ken wasn't using his computer as much as the other co-workers. Mr. Bauer was displeased to know that Ken was being paid to lollygag on YouTube, Life Review, and trendpropagator.com most of his time at work. Going through all those files was dull, especially since we were predisposed from the beginning. Ken was using metric tons of pre-made code he found online for his segments, as proven by actions taken by his computer. A coder like that doesn't have the skill or knowledge to hack a product like Dicon's, much less decrypt it. As far as the activity logs were reviewed, we were entirely correct. Ken's computer at work wasn't used for any illicit or suspicious activities. I knew he had used hacking software before, but never from his rig at Dicon. And that concluded our search. Ken was officially off the list of suspects, and off the picture in general. Who is it now? I thought, my hand scouring the pocket of my phone. It was a text message from an unknown sender. Opening up to read it, my heart jumped in my chest. Tahama Street, 357, alley to the right. Meet me there right now. That was almost the exact same message Ken had sent in that email. But Ken had been arrested. Was it someone else? The messages being the same could have just been a coincidence. Well, who? I would be a fool to go there again. I decided I'd just get home. I headed for my car that was parked nearby. The moment I touched the door handle, my phone beeped again. It was another text message. Meet at the alley or meet at where you live. Up to you. Oh shit! The hair at the back of my neck rose and a chill went through me. My eyes rose from the phone and looked around the boulevard that the Dicon headquarters was in. I couldn't see anyone looking at me or watching me. Yeah, I could feel it. Before I could tell them what to do, another text arrived. Can meet at the hospital too, right now. I cursed under my breath. Whoever it was, they knew about my sister. I wanted to call the police naturally, but the fear of something befalling my sister was too great. I texted back. Tahama Street, 357, alley to the right. I left my car and began walking, my hands in my pockets. The streets were sodden with constant rain during the day. I ran past some pedestrians on my way to the alley. Not more than a couple, as it was late and pretty much nobody was around. I got to the dark alley. No one was there. Hello? Never say hello, man! That's like this traditional horror movie trope 101. The cool air and the eerie silence made my hairs rise. I brought up my phone and texted the number. I'm here. Where are you? Moments passed, my heart beating wildly in my chest. I wasn't going to wait. I headed back, and just when I exited the alley, a car with tinted windows had stopped for a red light in the street behind me. A car much like the one Ken was driving. The doors opened, and out rushed two hooded men. I took a step back, but they were too quick. Shit! I'm being taken! No! Liam Neeson, where are you? They grabbed hold of me tightly. Let go! In my struggle, I dropped my suitcase. Let me go! I shouted again, but one of them punched me in the jaw. The taste of blood filled my mouth. Something hard smashed against my head, leaving me dazed. My eyes watered from the pain. I could feel them drag me into the car as my consciousness slipped away. The dark was closing in. Oh shit! Just when it was getting good! Oh man. But yeah, that was oh man. That's just such a cliffhanger. Man, I'm hooked. I want to know what happened. Was that Ken's people? Oh no. Oh, that was good. That was good. I gotta admit that was good. So anyway, that was it. That was Netghost by Dragonfire Studios. Thank you for playing. Man, I'm still a bit speechless from that. I really want to know what happens, man. Yeah, guys, consider backing them up on Kickstarter. Their Kickstarter is live right now, and as I said in the beginning of this video, it's something, right? It's live. So you go ahead and check them out. Check out Dragonfire Studios. Links are gonna be in the description. The link to their Kickstarter is also gonna be in the description. I really suggest you guys backing this up, like, just from the quality of the writing and the art style here, it's really good. Damn, go back to the main menu. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Oh man, the characters are so good. Like, I love Andre. Andre is one of my favorite throughout this whole series, and the main character Ian. At first, his personality was like really weird for me, but as it went on, it just you can kind of understand where he's coming from. And Mike, I love Mike. Ken was an ass. But then again, they wrote him to be very like the antagonist, so I can see why. Vivi was really good. I wish they had explored a little bit more on Hope, because her character wasn't explored as much, but probably in the full game when it's released, they're gonna have more of that. And yeah, if the game ever does come out, I might consider like playing the full one. I might consider playing the full one for that. But yeah, do give them a check out, guys. This video was asked by Dragonfire Studios for me to play the demo, but I honestly really loved it. I really did. So I hope that you guys had fun. I hope that you guys enjoyed me doing basically this visual novel style game. I haven't played a visual novel style game like exactly like a traditional visual novel style on this channel before, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you guys will check them out. So damn. I'm itching. I just want to press start and continue again, but I know that the full game's not out yet. It's just a demo. Oh, thank you guys for sticking with me on this episode. This will be uploaded on YouTube for you guys to enjoy. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. Make sure to check out Popcat Games for more future gameplay stuff. Check out Tavern Inc. as well, because Popcat Games is under that. So we'll see you. I guess we'll see you in the next one. Be safe, everyone. This has been Zero from Popcat Games. Bye bye.